goes a sight for my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight for my soul. There goes a sight for my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight for my soul. I think it's all angels just walk by. I think it's all angels just walk by. I think it's all angels just walk by. I think it's all angels just walk by.
Welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're reviewing the Mirus Cor by Black Crows. This is in a 178 that I skied on, and it is 87 millimeters underfoot. It also has a very aggressive 13-meter turn radius. First impression, these felt like lightning in a bottle. These are very energetic skis, very wiry, very ready to turn.
There goes a sight for my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight for my
These were very different skis from anything else I've tried. I was not paid by Black Crows to review these. They simply sent me the ski and I'm going to send it back. So this is my unbiased review. I'm just telling you my honest opinion on these skis, good and bad. So first off, the good. These skis carve really well. They are probably the most reactive, ready to go skis when it comes to turns. If you were trying to fit in a quick turn somewhere, these skis absolutely did it. If you even thought about making a turn, these skis were ready to go. I felt like they made a solid kind of finished off turn, so no issues there. The material and the amount of pressure it took to flex these, like I said, was very reactive. So they're not a very stiff ski. They're pretty easy to get the turn initiated and all the way through the turn. So if you're somebody who cares about carving on the groomers, these will absolutely do it for you. It does not take a lot of pressure to initiate your turn, so you can get a lot of turn reps into a run. The second thing I noticed with going off of small jumps, these were very poppy. I'm not a freestyle skier, but if you are, that might appeal to you. These skis were definitely very easy to pop up and make quick turns. They did great in the trees, very responsive, quick edge to edge time. So definitely if you're somebody who wants to make quick little kind of tree skiing turns, these did really well there. I found between the tips and the tails that the turn radius was really true, like you were really able to get those sharp little turns. I almost felt like these skis skied quite a bit shorter than I was expecting. Just with that tip, it felt like a slalom ski had a baby with a freestyle ski. This was full carved turns that you were able to finish off quick. That's what I'll say as far as the good. If you want to be able to have a turn just on demand, this is the most lively ski I've skied on yet. Now, let's talk about the bad. Again, kind of similar to the Renowns, a lot of the perks on the ski are also a downside. I felt like this ski was a little bit too ready to turn. There was times where I would start applying pressure and the ski would almost turn on its own or would initiate a turn the other way, even before I had pressure. I like to kind of preload my pressure and have the ski ready to go. What happened with these is it would actually initiate a turn the opposite way I wanted. So I didn't like that. I felt like these were a little bit too jittery, like they were just ready to turn with any amount of pressure, and if you're somebody who likes to preload your turns, that's not a great thing. The second thing I noticed, when I got at high speeds, these chatter a lot. I took these on our local Super G run and I noticed that I got a ton of chatter. Not only that, this flat tip grabs the wind when you're going that fast, and it will actually, like, you can feel it kind of vibrating with the wind. This flat top, while maybe responsive on the blue squares, when you get more serious speed, this part chatters and it feels really unreliable. I also felt like it was ready to catch an edge. I didn't have it happen, but it came really close to catching an edge. The second bad that I noticed, with these tails being kind of splayed out, I noticed that they didn't create as good of a platform out of your turn as something like the Head Core or an Atomic Maverick. When you really load up this tail, it would actually kind of wash away. These splayed tails really cannot hold at the end of the turn that well. They can to a certain extent, like it wasn't every turn, but there were a few turns where I really loaded and kind of pushed off the back of the turn where I noticed that they would give out a lot quicker than most other modern all-mountain skis. It can make a quick slalom turn, but if you really try to like load it at the apex of the turn, sometimes these tails will give out, and that's really disappointing if you're somebody who likes to really charge and carve big Super G GS turns. The last bad thing I'll say, similar to the Renowns actually, whenever you got onto snow that was kind of firm or choppy that wasn't groomed, these skis really struggled in that these were so kind of light and responsive that a lot of times when I took them off trail, I would just see the tips kind of flap. These really can't hold a lot of weight when it comes to going off of trail or getting bad conditions. Anytime you had any kind of chop or slop, these skis, you felt every bit of it. They really are not damp skis, nowhere near the Krud Kutter. I tend to not dock skis a ton on that when they're not designed for it, but just so you know, if you are somewhere that has bad conditions or doesn't have great grooming, these skis really struggle in that kind of terrain. So just so you know, if you're maybe putting it into your quiver and you want it to be a certain roll, this is not a Krud Kutter, this is not a do-it-all. This is for when it's groomed and manicured or soft enough that it's kind of hero snow. When you get it into any kind of like rigid chop, it really struggles. Again, I know it doesn't make me popular in the ski industry, but I'm gonna tell you guys all of the downsides of a ski, because I don't think anyone should go out and buy something without knowing what they're getting into, or at least without it making them kind of think before they buy it. So those are all the downsides of the ski. Now let's talk specs. Let's talk about what the ski's made out of. So starting out, the ski has a double rocker, which probably is why it feels so much shorter than it actually is. 178 is normally a ski length I like, but on these, this felt too short, so keep that in mind. The Mirus Cor is made out of a combination of poplar and fiberglass at the top. It has a single thin sheet of Titanol, you know, that's kind of giving it rigidity and ability through the turn. But there's not a lot. This is not a very damp ski. It definitely has a max that you can turn it. But again, you don't really feel that because the turn radius is so short that like it doesn't last that long, so you don't have that much of an opportunity to push it to its edge. Now these skis are fairly light, but for their turn radius, they're not actually that light, if that makes any sense. A single ski at this length is coming in at 1900 grams. For me personally, I think next time I would ski these in a 182 or something longer. I don't know, I just felt like I was over the top on them, and this is a 178. My daily driver is the Atomic Maverick at 176, so I think that something above 180 would be more comparable. It's probably because of that double rocker, a lot of that gets taken up by the tails, but just so you know. All right, now who is the Mirus Cor for? This is kind of a tricky question actually. I did not know this going into the review, but apparently this is kind of supposed to be for carving and freestyle, which is a weird combination. So I can't really speak too much to the freestyle elements other than snappiness on small jumps, which definitely was there. My thought actually going into this was very different than what I read online. My thought is for somebody who is staying on the blue squares, who is staying on the groomers, somebody like my dad who likes a really snappy, responsive turn, who just wants to focus on their carving, I actually think that this is a great ski. I think that if you're somebody who wants just a really energetic ski and you're not gonna just be like piling on the pressure with your boot like in a big GS or Super G turn, if you just want to make quick snappy slalom turns and want something that has a little bit better flotation in the tail, this might be a really good option. I do think if you're somebody who's really strong and who likes to finish out a carved turn, that you're going to be pretty disappointed by the tails because they do not hold you as strong as something like a Head Core or an Atomic Maverick. But overall, like I said, the responsiveness and the snappiness for the turns is unparalleled. These skis turn on a dime. They are so quick to get going. They are so responsive. That is where they shine. So I think if you're somebody who is staying on the groom trails, who just wants quick snappy turns, who doesn't need to go fast but still wants to have fun, this would be a great option. Now lastly, let's talk value. These come in at $9,999.95, 5 cents off of $1,000. These are not cheap, and the way that they're advertised is that this is kind of a do-it-all ski, and it's really not. This is a very particular ski, I think, for people who like quick slalom turns, who want to make snappy turns, who want a really responsive ski. But if you care at all about high-speed chatter or bad condition chatter, this ski really struggles in that area. $1,000, honestly, is very expensive for the ski. I understand kind of the design choices and that it's very bleeding edge, but like most things bleeding edge, there's not a lot of value. So if you really value like freestyle maneuverability and quick really snappy slalom turns. Sure, like you could do worse. Like there's definitely high-end brands that cost about that much or more. And I definitely don't think that this is one of those brands where this is just, oh, it's, you know, a cool color, so that's why it's so expensive. I just think in this ski's case, it is very, very bleeding edge with its design, but it still has a few issues to work out. Getting that speed wobble when you have too much wind really, in my mind, isn't acceptable for a $1,000 ski. And the way that the tails, when they're splayed, kind of don't hold up at the apex of the turn, also for me makes it not really a good value. But I think for people where they're looking for this, like, again, I said my dad is a 70-year-old PSIAA instructor. For somebody like him where he wants a really snappy slalom turn, I think this is a great option. I think he'd really love this. If you're somebody who all you care about is responsiveness, this is the best ski I found for that. This is the most responsive ski. So it has a lot of really good strengths, but just make sure it's what you want, because $1,000 for skis, no bindings, is not cheap. But that being said, I haven't found anything that does this better. So you're getting what you pay for. Just make sure you know. You can't expect this to be like a comfortable daily driver for all conditions. You can't expect this to be a powder ski. You can't expect this to be like a GS Super G turn ski. This is, I want to make a turn as quick as I can, and you're going to pay for that. So overall, what would I give the Mirus Cor for a score? That is really tough. It's similar to the Renown, honestly. It's very bleeding edge, it's very responsive, but it also suffers in that like you feel every little thing as soon as the weather goes bad. And for an all mountain ski, it doesn't really deliver on everything I'd expect for an all mountain ski. I would say this is more like a snappy slalom ski that happens to have kind of a lifted twin tip that you could do freestyle skiing on. The score is really difficult. What kind of carries the ski score is just how snappy and responsive it is. And the thing that kind of limits it is, again, getting chatter just from wind on these flat tips, having kind of a speed limit and a max amount of apex load that you can put into these tails before they wash out. Those are two things that really limit the ski. But again, you're not gonna find a more responsive, snappy ski that makes slalom turns this short radius. So for me, I'm gonna give these an 8.3 out of 10. I think these are really good at what they're trying to do, which is snappy, quick turns. I think if you're somebody looking for a really responsive ski, you're gonna be super happy with these. But this ski definitely has design choices that hold it back. Those same design choices are probably what make it so excellent at its quick turns. So 8.3, I think honestly is pretty generous. I just wanted a little bit more stability and a little bit more speed. But that's my personal preference, and I can separate that from the score. So 8.3 seems fair to me. So anyway, that's the end of the review. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps my channel out a lot. But more than anything, just thank you for watching. I'm not paid by Black Crow or anyone else. I'm not sponsored. I just like making these videos because the truth about skis is really important to me. We have memberships with different benefits. I'll help you with ski recommendations as well as coaching feedback with different tiers. So check that out if you want to support the channel. But as always, just thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya. Aside from my soul, there goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul.
I think it's all angels just walk by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul.